Remember, there were other cascading effects as well. Saturday, it came back to about 800 flights, and Sunday saw another 650 added to the tally. Today, the number is being pegged at anywhere close to 500. 500 flights have still been cancelled as far as schedule is concerned. Now, even as an inquiry has been ordered, an explosive insider revelation has rocked India's aviation industry, exposing alleged deliberate misconduct by Indigo, the nation's largest airline. CNN News 18 is awaiting a response from the airline on the allegations that an Indigo pilot has made to us. So take a look at what this pilot has told us. This Indigo pilot, on conditions of anonymity, has said that the airline purposely initiated flight cancellations. He alleges that there was a bid to manipulate data to circumvent FTDL norms, and this despite pilots being ready and willing to operate flights. Despite a special clearance from the DGCA, the airline cancelled flights. And on the staff front, this insider says that there was no severe shortage. The airline only needed about 15 to 20% additional staff. But in the pilot's clear words, the safety is of bare minimum consequence in the airline Indigo. The only thing that matters for the company is profits, which is perhaps why they refused to hire the additional staff that was needed. And in one of his remarks, he said that such deliberate cancellations amount to criminal actions. Those responsible should be brought to justice. Listen in to this exclusive conversation.
When this November implementation happened because of the Honorable High Court, they started taking flight cancellation on purpose. What Indigo used this FDTL was for their benefit. First, they cancelled all type of contracts, norms, PLs availability, and everything went off. Although having special clearance from DGCA, which no other airline had, they started with, again, like I told you, they started taking cancellations to make data and make it arm twist the regulator to get rid of the FTTL. The accountable and responsible people who have brought this chaos, made so many passengers suffered, made the frontline warriors, pilots, cabin crew, ground staff suffer, even beaten up, they should be brought to justice. And not just penalty to the airline, personal penalties should be imposed on these individuals. They must be brought to justice.
So this brings us to the next big question. Can the government effect a change as far as this Indigo management is concerned? And in the eye of the storm, of course, is the CEO. Now, the DGCA, if it fails or finds the CEO's response unsatisfactory, the matter can then be escalated to the Ministry of Civil Aviation, which may in turn seek a review of the executive's MHA security clearance, a requirement for foreign nationals in key aviation roles in India. This means that MHA clearance acts as an entry gateway, and in theory, its withdrawal could prevent a foreign national from continuing in his or her position. In fact, this isn't the first time that a question like this has come up in Indian aviation industry's history. There have been a few examples that have been seen where security clearances, especially for foreign nationals, have influenced leadership decisions, delayed appointments, or have shaped management structures as well. So let's give you some of those examples. At Jet Airways, during the carrier's turbulent 2018 to 2019 period, questions were raised over the security clearance status of certain foreign executives. Public RTI proceedings and media reports indicated that clearance-related queries delayed or complicated senior-level decision-making. At AirAsia India, which began as a joint venture involving a foreign airline, several foreign nominees had to await MHA security clearance before assuming managerial roles. In some instances, operations had to proceed with interim Indian leadership until a formal clearance was granted. In pre-privatization Air India, foreign specialists proposed for key operational appointments did not join because security clearance was either delayed or not granted, requiring the airline to appoint Indian executives instead. With that background, and we have more information coming in on what, for example, parliamentary committees have said in the past, the big question on everybody's mind is, with all of this chaos and pain reigning across India, is Indigo guilty of blackmail? And if so, what action will it be? Will it be executed not just on the airline but on individual managers as well? That's coming up.
अब हम इंडिगो ऑफिस ट्राई कर रहे हैं, अभी तक पैसा वापस आया नहीं है।
Today's OTP is projected around 75%, significantly up from 30% yesterday. It gives us all the confidence that step by step we're getting back.
सर, जो इंडिगो का क्राइसिस अभी देखने को मिला वो एएमएसएस से रिलेटेड नहीं है। इंडिगो के इंटरनल ऑपरेशंस में उनके जो क्रू रोस्टरिंग सिस्टम है, उनका जो अपना इंटरनल प्लानिंग है, उसमें गड़बड़ी के कारण ये सब हुआ है। ऑन 1st of December we had a meeting with Indigo on FDTL itself. When they required some clarifications, we have given the clarifications also with that idea, and they have not flagged this issue. So everything was running normal till then. Suddenly we have observed this on 3rd. Immediately when this was observed, the ministry came into the picture. Let me tell you that we are not taking this situation easily. We are doing an inquiry and we will take very, very strict action, not only for this situation, but also as an example. We will set an example for all the airlines. If there is any miscompliance, any non-compliance or non-adherence, for any single person, any entity or any organization or any operator functioning in this civil aviation, we will take very, very strict action so that we set an example in the industry.
Let's go across to our experts. Joining us, Captain C.S. Randhawa is a former pilot, former General Manager, Air India, and former Deputy Chief Flight Operations Inspector at the DGCA. Sanat Kaul is former Joint Secretary of Ministry of Civil Aviation. Captain Meenu Wadia, founder president of the Federation of Indian Pilots, and Dr. Vandana Singh is Chairperson, Aviation Cargo, Federation of Aviation Industry in India. I do thank you all for your time. Captain C.S. Randhawa, I'm beginning with you. Even as we await the Indigo response on the show cause notice by the DGCA, do you think there is enough evidence in public realm to categorize this as deliberate misconduct on the part of the airline?
See, first and foremost thing, from day one, Shivani, I have been saying since 2nd of December that the same points have been highlighted by the CEO on the 5th of December in his statement. It is very clear and evident that it was pre-planned that this exercise of integration of the software, of the network planning with the optimization of the crew rostering would take place from 2nd. But they never realized that they will not be able to integrate and there will be chaos. Because if you recollect that initially the airline stance and the media stance was they related to the weather, they related to ATC delays, FTTL, and they related to crew shortages. From the FIP, we have been insisting and saying so since beginning that this is a problem with the softwares with which the airline had planned. And today, the minister on the floor of the House in Rajya Sabha has categorically stated the same. Now, the point of issue is that you have put the whole country to ransom. They control 67% of the stake of the domestic skies, and they have not done the job correctly and honorably. They should have, if they had an issue with it, with the software, they should have intimated the DGCA in advance. They should have intimated the passengers in advance that there is a likelihood of cancellation of flights. Okay. The next point, very important point is, remember, from 2nd of December till today, flights are still getting cancelled. The aircraft are lying on the ground. The crews are not detailed because they don't know which crews where and they're not able to integrate it properly. And still today, the cancellations are happening, where the minister has given them clean blanket clearance on the safety issue on the CR to be held in abeyance till 10th of February. That was nothing to related to this. And now the COA himself, he has come on record on 5th and he said that this is because the problem with the software system. And he has given a date up to 15th of December to sort it out. That is why the flights are getting cancelled every day. Crews available, aircraft available. Where the question of shortage of crew, where the question of FDTL issues or the CR not being able to implement.
So I want to understand, the minister in Parliament today has said, Sanat Kaul, that, when we did a meeting on December 1, they did a meeting with Indigo regarding FTTL. They sought clarifications, we provided them, but they never flagged any issues. Everything was running normally, and then suddenly 2 days later, this chaos breaks out. Do you think this in itself is enough evidence to suggest that Indigo hid some of its problems either, or orchestrated this entire crisis?
Well, it's very difficult to give an straight answer to that. But the issue is that this was a court decision. It's a defiance of a court decision which is taking place. It was, of course, made mandatory by DGCA, but it is not that he did it on his own. It's a court decision, and it's an international trend to have this kind of a pilot thing. So it amounts to a defiance. Now, software and lack of pilots or not lack of pilots is something which is internal to the airline. It's nothing to do with the this thing, and it has led to such a chaos that there is a reasonable ground to think in terms of whether such a monopoly situation is a good thing for the country or not. Now we don't have a monopolies commission anymore, but we have a competition commission. But somewhere or the other, one has to see how this is impacting on the whole country, on the aviation sector. And I think it's a very important issue which has to be taken into confidence without any great emotions. It should be considered what is happening just now in the country is something which is unheard of, that there's a total defiance of the orders of the...
You consider this a defiance? I'm just saying that,
It amounts to a defiance. It amounts to a defiance.
So should there be a particular penalty?
This is not my personal view. It amounts to a defiance of a court order.
So,
and court orders,
what everybody is very interested in, Mr. Kaul, is that, when you see an episode like this, the minister has said in Parliament today that we will make an example out of this incident. We will ensure that example is set. Do you think that there should be strictest of action on not just the airline, but its individual executives as well? That is the demand coming in.
This is not for me to decide. It is for the ministry to decide. But as I made a point, I mean, AT&T was a practical monopoly in US. They broke it up. They break up monopolies because they can be harmful to the economy. Now, when air traffic controllers went on strike in around 2000, they declared essential service. The government declared essential service, and they were practically, they were about to be, they could have been put behind bars. I don't know whether it was done or not. Is airline an essential service? It is, in my view, especially if there's a monopoly. So where does essential service end? Does it end only with public sector or private sector? You have to take a decision on this. These are serious issues. I am not talking about the particular individual, so-and-so was, appointed CEO and therefore he was foreigner. That has of no relevance. I think they've been selected because they were competent. And it's for the airline to decide who's competent, who's not competent. But the issue remains, how can you have a system failing like this in defiance of a court order? And I call it defiance because it happens to be a defiance, whether it was done by mistake or by
choice is a separate issue. Okay.
Yeah, it's a separate issue.
Captain Meenu Wadia, I want to bring you in because, we have this conversation with an Indigo pilot, and, several industry experts have been telling us this. Several former pilots have been telling us this. Those who know how Indigo functions have been telling us this, that, this smells clearly of a conspiracy on their part. Their pilot is saying that they deliberately cancelled flights. They wanted to get a particular kind of data. And this insistence to not hire more when everybody else did, or everybody else figured out how much they needed for their operations. This in itself is criminal negligence.
You're right, but what you're stating is a very gross understatement. I'll put a different perspective to the whole thing. Everyone is aware of what has happened. My perspective is this episode is not a matter of delayed flights, not a matter of cancelled flights, not a matter of inconvenience to some people. Hundreds and thousands of people have not only been inconvenienced, there's a gross amount of financial strain, there's gross amount of hardship, gross amount of a lot of matters for the whole this thing. So the thing is, reading of the situation, it is a national disgrace. It's a reflection on the whole country, and this whole episode cannot be discussed as a matter of delayed flights or whatever, etc. It has to be taken seriously. And yes, what you said was the offense. That is as far as what you asked about Indigo is concerned. My focus is also on the government and the DGCA. First of all, the government has given unbridled powers to the DGCA. First of all, only in this country, the DGCA happens to be a person who doesn't understand fundamentals of aviation at all. Right, not today, but right from the beginning. I have enough evidence to show for the last 50 years that the DGCA does not understand fundamentals. And to give unbridled powers to the DGCA to do what he wants and about aviation safety. So how would you expect aviation safety to improve under the hands of bureaucrats who do not understand aviation to start with? Okay. Secondly, the minister, the minister has said given dispensation for this FDTL. Who has the authority to give dispensation on a matter of safety? A matter of safety cannot be compromised under any circumstances. So therefore, dispensation is out of the question to start with. And a lot of evidence is available for criminal charge, and the investigation also cannot be done by bureaucrats or by the DGCA. It has to have a judicial person on the board and aviation experts to do a proper inquiry. Otherwise, it will be a total whitewash, and there will be the problem will be put under the carpet.
Okay. Dr. Vandana Singh, I'm going to come to you. But before that, let me take a quick response from Captain C.S. Randhawa on the liability on the DGCA. Do you think time has come that there should be action on DGCA chief and, of course, overhauling of this body as well? Because they have not really covered themselves in glory either by just saying that, oh, we asked them to execute it, they didn't execute it.
You see, I'll just give you a small background to it. When the airlines were not implementing the CR was published by the DGCA in January 2024, and it was supposed to come in effect. And all the airlines tried their level best not to allow the regulation to come. I'm surprised at my country that it took so much of time to be implemented. We had to knock at the doors of the Delhi High Court because we were pending for the decision by the Honorable High Court since 23. And finally, in the month of April, 7th of April, we got a court order where they categorically said, the court said that it has to be implemented. Now, again, the airlines came jumping to DGCA and asking that it should be implemented in stages. And in phase 1 was in 1st of July, and phase 2, about 35% of the CR on 1st of November. Now, I fail to understand that against safety, how can you do all this? So,
no. Sir, the question also is, under DGCA's watch, how can this be allowed to happen is also the question, right?
No way, no other country it happens. When a regulation comes and it is under the guidance of the ICAO, you know, it is mandatory to have FDTL rules. And mind you, in our country, one more very intriguing thing is there, that FDTL is a limit. That is the limit. Supposing 8 hours of duty time, flight time, that is a limit. How can the airline use it for planning purposes up to the limit? You have to cut off at 7 hours, 45 minutes.
Sir, I must press on this. What is the responsibility or the accountability of the DGCA here? Why are we not seeing heads roll?
The DGCA is supposed to do an oversight. over the airlines.
Yes.
Now DGCA is shot by staff of almost 1,200 people. All the aviation sector has grown, but you do not have the competent people, and the right amount of people in DGCA. And they have not been able to fill up these posts. The aviation
So then
is
it
just
just
expanding.
points out to a larger rot, and I think then it brings the aviation ministry into the mix as well. So
Absolutely.
from day one, we've been saying the airline must absolutely, the law must come down on the airline like a ton of bricks. But there has to be
Correct.
some accountability and some reform maybe initiated in the DGCA and the aviation ministry because of this. Dr. Vanna
Correct.
Singh, I want to bring you in. Captain Vinod, Captain Meenu Wadi, I'll come back to you. You know what's even worse? There was a parliamentary panel committee on the implementation of the FDTL norms in August, which clearly said that the DGCA must monitor and enforce the updated regulations, ensure personnel feel safe, supported, train the crew in de-escalation and mental health crisis response, regularly analyze the data to gauge the FDTL rule effectiveness. But look at what's happened. Because of one airline's insistence or stubbornness, we've had the whole reform now pegged back. The minister is promising that it will have to be implemented eventually, but it has been rolled back effectively for now.
Sure. Good evening, Shivani, and thank you for having me on your show. First and foremost, we've been talking about clear abuse of dominance, clear abuse of a suffocating grip of Indigo on 2/3 of our domestic market in India. And we have seen what has happened the whole of last week and continuing as we speak with 500 flights cancelled today. So when we are looking at, what is coming out, on one side, DGCA has to have more teeth, it has to get stricter, and it has to be the real watchdog, what it is meant to be. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation has to come out very, very strongly and with stringent norms and follow up why the aviation law regulations reforms are not being followed up. In this case, it's a clear misbehavior, like a spoiled child by Indigo. I've been talking about that. They are the 62% market share. They are the class toppers, and they just decide not to do their homework. And the principal is left with no choice but to say, okay, we give you this much time. Now, this is not the way business is done. This is not how airlines run. And this is not the image of our country as a third largest growing economy, soon to be, that we want to project to the entire world.
So, ma'am, do you think this foreign CEO of the company should be given the boot? The ministry should step in and just say, you failed to do your job. Competence or no competence is a separate issue on paper, but you failed to do your job, and revoke his security clearance.
Exactly. Look, ma'am, I have spoken to a couple of international channels also in the morning, and I would like to tell you, it's the total top management of Indigo. CEO definitely sitting there on the top, board of directors who are all accountable for this sabotage. This sabotage cannot be forgotten, will not be forgiven, and the Ministry of Civil Aviation cannot let it go. No way. And one more thing I would like to state. When all of this chaos was happening, where was the, the civic or the corporate citizen culture of Air India or the other airlines not to loot? I use the word loot the passengers.
Yes.
Why did everybody make merry at that time? That's another show cause notice I would give if I was the DGCA right now. If I was Mr. Kidwai right now, I would do that too. How is it when there was an aviation emergency, a national emergency in our country, with Indigo going like this and just stranding everybody and choke holding everybody, that why is it that Air India was also spared? Why? With whatever limited flights they had, why were they charging 70,000 for one way? Why?
Absolutely. No, those questions also need to be addressed. But yes, Captain Wadia, you wanted to come in very quickly.
Yes, I wanted to say that we are holding Indigo accountable to start with, but that does not absolve the DGCA and the government from its total responsibility of oversight, checking. If they've passed an order, First of all, what is the feasibility of that order? Is it legal order? See, fortunately, you have today at 7:40 on your channel, Mr. Shivaraman, who was the ex-DG of India, on your channel. He will probably clarify the legal aspect of the DGCA, whether he has the authority to overrule safety issues and give moratorium on safety issues. That is very critical. So do not absolve any government official.
What
And
action
just
ideally do you want to see or do you wish to see on the DGCA and the Ministry of Civil Aviation?
this whole thing is a tsunami against a whole country, and it has to be taken as a criminal offense, and all involved, whether they're foreigners or Indian, doesn't matter. All involved have to be dealt with in a criminal manner.
Okay, Mr. Kaul, you wanted to come in.
Yeah, regarding DGCA, there was about, quite a few years back, about 10, 15 years back, a full proposal to have a civil aviation authority like in other parts of the world, like UK and other places. And an expert from ICAO was brought. The legal director of ICAO, who is retired, was brought in through ICAO to prepare a scheme for a civil aviation authority which will be independent, which will have more people, they will have financial independence, they'll be able to recruit their own people, they won't have to depend on UPSC, which is now the main problem of not getting the staff. And the salary structures can be revised. And it was passed by the cabinet, it was put as a bill in the parliament, and then for some reason it was never executed, it was never made into an act. And I think that is something which has been, because the growth of civil aviation has been so good and so huge and so much that the DGCA is not able to cope with it.
Okay.
It's not able to recruit people. It's not able to, it is a subordinate office of the Ministry of Civil Aviation. So this scheme needs to be implemented straight away, immediately. It is all ready and it should be done. That's how I look at it.
So,
That's
sir,
the
you
only
also
way DGCA can be
mentioned,
reformed.
our guests have also mentioned, of course, this dominance that Indigo has, the treatment as first amongst equals that it has got over the years. And even there seems to be, even in this case, there was a bit of an arm twisting that the airline managed to do. So, should this opportunity be taken to break up the airline, or would that be too drastic a step, Mr. Kaul? Do we want to become the country that we start doing that?
I've made a point which does not mean only aviation sector, any sector. A dominant position is not a good, healthy sign of an economy. And therefore, one has to look into it whether in aviation, a dominant position is the best thing to happen or not the best thing to happen. As I gave an example, in telephone system in US, they broke up a fantastically good running AT&T into smaller unit because they said it is dominant and it can lead to trouble.
Okay.
And
yes.
it happens elsewhere also. So it has to be taken not as an emotional issue that what has happened just now.
Okay.
But do we need dominance of this kind where more than 50% of the market share is held by one person and something happens, you will again have a crisis in some other sphere. So dominant position in anything. And we had a monopolies commission which was dissolved, made into competition commission. They can even look at it, or they can be amended to have a look at it.
Because certainly in the business industry the sentiment would be very negative if we start talking about breaking up large companies just because
I
they happen
don't think
to
it'll
have...
be negative. It's a positive thing.
It's
only
a
a few
positive thing.
people who are to be broken will probably not like it.
Okay,
Because
Captain Randhawa, you wanted to come in.
people look to good competition,
Yes,
healthy competition.
I am of the view what Mr. Kaul is saying. I concur that view because 67% stake is held by Indigo, and this will increase by the day as it comes now. At present, 91% plus stake is held by Indigo and Air India. Air India's smaller stake, 24%, and Indigo 67%. It's and almost 1,000 aircraft on order by Indigo. So this country, if you do not get another airline to come, then you're asking for trouble. This will happen time and again.
Okay.
It is high time that the government intervenes and breaks up this airline into three entities, because you cannot have one giant sitting and controlling the rules and regulations and everything and take the country to ransom. That is what Indigo has done this time. And regarding what Mr. Kaul has also said, I concur that because when in 2009 also, when I was there in DGCA, Dr. Naseem Zaidi, he had come from Montreal, and after he stepped into as the Secretary Civil Aviation, he tried his level best to make a CA in India, which is absolutely a requirement and essential thing to happen in this country, to have autonomy and to have the manpower. Till the time that is done, we will continue to, suffer like this in DGCA.
Dr. Vanna, final comment from you. The minister also said today we are, kind of promoting or encouraging more players to come into this industry. What more can government do in this regard? Let's say leave aside the issue of whether they're going to break up Indigo or not. What else can be done to promote more competition and healthy competition?
Firstly, I'd like to add one thing, ma'am. Along with DGCA, the Competition Commission of India plays a very big role when it comes to any kind of cartels, price fixing, or abuse of dominance. So firstly, your Competition Commission of India has to come up along with DGCA to put the class in order.
Okay.
Let me put it like this.
Okay.
Secondly, there is a lot that the Indian government can do, our government can do, by bringing in more FDI, by bringing in more investors, opening it up to private firms. We can try to strengthen our skies. We can give them a certain leeway on licenses, or look at infrastructure, or look at a lot of other options to make ourselves an attractive place where people want to invest. And this is the right time to invest, as the Ukraine-Russia war is coming to a closure. I'd like to say that this is the opportune time to invest.
I have to leave it at that. We are awaiting, of course, the company's response, and then what follows from there on. Inquiry also has to submit its report pretty soon. But I do thank all of our guests for joining us. And on that note, a special conversation here on Plain Speak. We relive the special moments and the special comments with this exclusive conversation with World Cup winning women's team coach Amol Muzumdar, who celebrated virtually all of the team members and the individual roles that they played. Listen in. Do you think women's cricket has truly arrived now in India or globally? Because, Indian successes are often a cue of how well cricket would do globally as well. So I think this Indian World Cup win has also lifted the status, and the kind of matches you played and the girls won, it really lifted the status of the female game globally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this could be the catalyst of what we are going to see.
The 1983 moment that everybody is talking about.
Probably, even more.
Even more.
Because I grew up in that era where 1983 changed lives for many. We have seen so many ex-cricketers saying that they saw the World Cup win and they got inspired to play cricket. And I think this 2025 World Cup win would change that and I would hope that it just doesn't change for cricket in India.
All female sports.
Every sport. I think it should be a watershed moment for any female who has taken sport as their profession.
Just the way they were supporting each other, the way they were talking about each other, the way they celebrated with former women's cricketers and really dedicated their win to them.
It was just unbelievable to see what it meant for them, and it was really nice of them to share the trophy with the former cricketers. I always have been a believer that you shouldn't be forgetting your past. You should always recollect your history, because that evokes a lot of passion to the game, and you stay in the present, and you also take care of your future. So you should never forget your past.
For you, has this World Cup win as a coach somehow brought it all full circle? The fact that you missed out on representing India as a player?
You can say so, in many terms. But to be very honest, when I retired into 2012-13 season, I parked those thoughts away, and I thought that that's never going to happen again. So might as well come to terms to it. When I started playing cricket in the late 80s, always grew up in that emotion, saying that or the dream was there to play for India, but it never happened. So 30 years have passed, almost 35, and those emotions were parked at a place. But I did get this opportunity to represent India in a different role, and I readily took up that opportunity, I think. And you can say that it has come a full circle. But I also would like to say that sport has taught me over the years, last 35 years, that every day the scoreboard changes. Every day the scoreboard changes, the applause fades, but the impact what you can have on someone else's career remains forever. So I thought this was a great opportunity for me to represent the country. I'll tell you a little bit of an anecdote. When I took over, I've got a charter board, which in my first meeting I had a sort of a charter board. The first question that was presented to the team was, what's your ultimate goal? And all 15 of them replied to win a World Cup. That was a great start, I felt. So the benchmark was set on the first meeting itself, and then on 2nd November 2025, it turned into reality.
Speaking of that, after those initial setbacks that happened and, those consecutive losses, didn't really seem like India had any hope in the campaign. So what was the mood like at that time? What did you tell the girls at that time?
To be very honest, the dressing room after the third loss against England, I can term it as loss now, but what we spoke in the dressing room was we couldn't cross the line. There was never a sentence that we said that we had lost the game. We just couldn't cross the line. The game was in our pocket, but we just let it slip off. And the mood was, it wasn't great, I would say, for obvious reasons. But at the same time, they knew that if they have to do something special, they'll have to come out of this and finish the games. We stressed a lot in the post meeting that we had after England game that we need to finish it off, and someone will have to take the lead and do that.
That stand between Smriti and Pratika against New Zealand, do you think that was the turning point then? Because we never really saw back after that, and this thing that you're talking about, that somebody needs to stand up and kind of deliver towards the end, that started from there.
I think that New Zealand game was a crunch game. People talk about the Australia game, of course it was very crucial, the semi-finals, but I call it a quarter-final because it was a do or die situation, and it was on a thin edge. We were all on thin edge because a loss at that time would have meant curtains, game over. So I personally feel that day against New Zealand was the most important day in this World Cup, because it just changed. It just didn't change the course of the World Cup, but it changed the mood in the dressing room.
Precisely.
The partnership that blossomed between Pratika and Smriti, it just gave a fillip to the others, including the support staff.
Including yourself.
The butterflies in the stomach just settled down a little. That this Indian team, this Indian women's cricket team, is a very special one, because I've learned on the job that if they start believing in what they can achieve, or if they start putting their mind to it, they will be unstoppable. 338, they had got, Australia had got 338 on the board. I mean, I just felt that there was no point in talking about that, because when a player is fielding for 50 overs and the opposition is 338 on the board, and the opposition, like Australia, have got 338. You don't have to say much in the dressing room. So just to simplify things, just wrote a line saying one more run needed than Australia. It was just to simplify things.
Simple equation.
You have to. I think when Smriti got out down the leg side, we just need one good partnership. One good partnership. The belief was there, and that's all it needed. I think it started from there, Jemmy and then Harman. Harman, I think, when she played a few shots, the mood changed in the dressing room as well.
Jemima took the world by storm with her knock, and also because she carried on for long. What would you say about that innings that she played?
Innings of a lifetime, I guess. It just doesn't happen often. If she can beat that, I would be very glad.
She would be very glad.
Yeah. But just magnificent innings. There are very few innings that, over a period of last 2 years, I've seen some terrific knocks. Smriti, I must have seen some, 1500s of Smriti in the last 2 years. I must have seen Harman's couple of knocks, one in England that she played in Durham. So, in cricketing terms, you say a chabuk innings. But this knock, given the pressure, given the ambience, was just out of this world.
And it seemed like it was flowing very easy for her. It felt like she was enjoying it. That zone that you talk about for athletes, she seemed in that zone.
I think she was completely in the zone. You just hit that zone very rarely you hit that zone as an athlete. I think she was zoned in just to take India beyond that line, and we crossed the line against Australia on that day. It was very unfortunate for Pratika to miss out on the semis and the finals. She was in great form. You've seen what kind of a player she is. In 23 innings, she has crossed 1,000 runs. It's a world record in itself. So she's been a very special player ever since she has started playing international cricket. It was very unfortunate, but that's the nature of the game. You have to be, you got to stay in the present. And I can tell you this, that the moment the news arrived that she's out for the semi-finals, she's done. Me and Harman, we crossed each other, and within, both of us said it at the same time. Shefali, done. It was just.
So that's all it took.
Yeah, that's all. It was.
And why that belief and faith in Shefali?
She was playing well, she was scoring runs, and just the maverick that she is.
You didn't think it was too much of a gamble?
No. Sometimes against a team like Australia or in the finals or the semi-finals, you need those kind of players where, you can...
just unleash them.
Yeah, she came and she just... she just batted as if she had never been out of international cricket. That's the beauty of Shefali Verma.
And she bowled so amazingly when given the chance in the final. And it all came together, isn't it? I think the last 2 matches or even the last 3 matches of the World Cup for India were like, almost a fairy tale. It's like when the movie is made on you and the girls, these matches are going to be like cinematic gold, isn't it? Because they had so much, they had everything. Yeah. They had an injury, for example, to Pratika. Correct. Having someone who's batting at the top of the order and go out of the team, and somebody coming in, having not being in the team.
It's
everything.
Just scripted, I think. I don't know. God is great. So it's been Shefali bowling in the finals. I think it was Harman's call. Yeah. We knew. We had discussed this the previous night with Shefali also. She knew that she was going to be an option. We were playing 6 bowlers in the finals, so she was obviously Shefali was going to be the 7th option, and I didn't know Harman was going to bring her on. It was just an instinctive call by the captain, and it was a superb one. Sometimes as a coach you just have to appreciate what the captain does. In cricket, it is always the captain who leads it, not the coach, not the manager. It's just out there in the middle. You need to take those decisions, and that's why it's a captain's call.
Tell me more about Harman, the captain, but how would you describe her, both on field and off field?
I think she plays multiple roles in the team. She's a captain on the field. She's a leader of it. She's a lovely leader. She's got a humane side to her, and very passionate about the sport, very passionate about taking the sport to next level. Every time we've had discussions, I don't know how many times I must have had discussions in the last 2 years, but every time I've had, she's always spoken about women's cricket, to take it to another level. We need to do this and that. It was just a very passionate cricketer, and she's been just a superb leader of this bunch. And you could see it. You could see it. The way she operates. I've said this before, but when Harman walks into the room, you know that Harman has walked into the room. So she commands that respect of each and every one.
But your words on Smriti and the role that she played in this entire World Cup?
Magnificent. Absolute magnificent. She is, how do I explain? I'm short of words. Generally I'm not. But with Smriti, very intricate player. She loves to go into intricate detail about batting. No wonder we see the results, what she gets. And I'll tell you, just don't look at World Cup. If you've seen last 24 months, what she has done in Indian cricket is phenomenal. The reason why I say that is that she has given a belief to each and every person in the team, and I mean even the support staff, the belief to beat the best in the world and to be the best in the world. She has given that belief in the team. Just a magnificent player. I've seen some players over the years, but probably the best left-hander I've seen.
Wow.
The best left-hander.
How long do we see you with the women's setup?
Good question. I think I'm not the correct person to answer. I've enjoyed every bit. I've enjoyed my time, and I've learned a lot in the last 2 years. Of course, I've been with men's cricket all my life, but I've enjoyed my time with these young women cricketers, the passionate cricketers. Hope it continues.
Yeah. Given the opportunity, you would be hoping to continue this momentum and maybe lead to another cycle as well?
Yes, I would love to.
But Amol, if there was that one moment that you had to pick from this entire campaign, what would you pick? That was the most satisfying for you, let's say, as a coach, somebody who has worked towards this end goal with these girls for 2 years.
I think the most satisfying, I would say, when that moment where Harman stepped on the stage, did that bhangra.
Yes, she did the bhangra and then the Rohit Sharma thing.
And then when she lifted the cup, I think that was the most satisfying. I mean, if you're an Indian, no matter how many times you see that on the reels, you would still be proud of that moment.
Yes, absolutely.
सैल्यूट है जी। आप देश की रक्षा में जान लगा देते हैं।
और आप?
घर घर में तार लगाते हैं जी। ई बीम टेक्नोलॉजी से बनी, न जले न पिघले, सबकी रक्षा करे।
हम सरहद पर लोगों की रक्षा करते हैं और आप देश के अंदर। सैल्यूट तो बनता है जी।
अपार अणुशक्ति फायर प्रोटेक्ट वायर, अपार देश का तार।
आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, वंदे मातरम इसका जो जन जन से जुड़ाव था, ये हमारे स्वतंत्र संग्राम की एक लंबी गाथा अभिव्यक्त होती है। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, जब भी जैसे किसी नदी की चर्चा होती है, चाहे सिंधु हो, सरस्वती हो, कावेरी हो, गोदावरी हो, गंगा हो, यमुना हो, उस नदी के साथ एक सांस्कृतिक धारा प्रवाह, एक विकास यात्रा का धारा प्रवाह, एक जन जीवन की यात्रा का प्रवाह उसके साथ जुड़ जाता है। लेकिन क्या कभी किसी ने सोचा है कि आजादी जंग के हर पड़ाव, वो पूरी यात्रा वंदे मातरम की भावनाओं से गुजरता था, उसके तट पर पल्लवित होता था। ऐसा भाव काव्य शायद दुनिया में कहीं उपलब्ध नहीं होगा। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, अंग्रेज समझ चुके थे कि 1857 के बाद लंबे समय तक भारत में टिकना उनके लिए मुश्किल लग रहा था। और जिस प्रकार से वो अपने सपने लेकर के आए थे, तब उनको लगा कि जब तक भारत को बांटेंगे नहीं, जब तक भारत को टुकड़ों में नहीं बांटेंगे, भारत में ही लोगों को एक दूसरे से लड़ाएंगे नहीं, तब तक यहां राज करना मुश्किल है। और अंग्रेजों ने बांटो और राज करो इस रास्ते को चुना और उन्होंने, आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, वंदे मातरम इसका जो जन जन से जुड़ाव था, ये हमारे स्वतंत्र संग्राम की एक लंबी गाथा अभिव्यक्त होती है। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, जब भी जैसे किसी नदी की चर्चा होती है, चाहे सिंधु हो, सरस्वती हो, कावेरी हो, गोदावरी हो, गंगा हो, यमुना हो, उस नदी के साथ एक सांस्कृतिक धारा प्रवाह, एक विकास यात्रा का धारा प्रवाह, एक जन जीवन की यात्रा का प्रवाह उसके साथ जुड़ जाता है। लेकिन क्या कभी किसी ने सोचा है कि आजादी जंग के हर पड़ाव, वो पूरी यात्रा वंदे मातरम की भावनाओं से गुजरता था, उसके तट पर पल्लवित होता था। ऐसा भाव काव्य शायद दुनिया में कहीं उपलब्ध नहीं होगा। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, अंग्रेज समझ चुके थे कि 1857 के बाद लंबे समय तक भारत में टिकना उनके लिए मुश्किल लग रहा था। और जिस प्रकार से वो अपने सपने लेकर के आए थे, तब उनको लगा कि जब तक भारत को बांटेंगे नहीं, जब तक भारत को टुकड़ों में नहीं बांटेंगे, भारत में ही लोगों को एक दूसरे से लड़ाएंगे नहीं, तब तक यहां राज करना मुश्किल है। और अंग्रेजों ने बांटो और राज करो इस रास्ते को चुना और उन्होंने बंगाल को इसकी प्रयोगशाला बनाया, क्योंकि अंग्रेज भी जानते थे वो एक वक्त था जब बंगाल का बौद्धिक सामर्थ्य देश को दिशा देता था, देश को ताकत देता था, देश को प्रेरणा देता था। और इसलिए अंग्रेज भी चाहते थे कि बंगाल का ये जो सामर्थ्य है वो पूरे देश की शक्ति का एक प्रकार से केंद्र बिंदु है। और इसलिए अंग्रेजों ने सबसे पहले बंगाल के टुकड़े करने की दिशा में काम किया और अंग्रेजों का मानना था कि एक बार बंगाल टूट गया तो ये देश भी टूट जाएगा और वो यावत चंद्र दिवाकरो राज करते रहेंगे, ये इनकी सोच थी। 1905 में अंग्रेजों ने बंगाल का विभाजन किया, लेकिन जब अंग्रेजों ने 1905 में ये पाप किया तो वंदे मातरम चट्टान की तरह खड़ा रहा। बंगाल की एकता के लिए वंदे मातरम गली गली का नाद बन गया था और वही नारा प्रेरणा देता था। अंग्रेजों ने बंगाल विभाजन के साथ ही भारत को कमजोर करने के बीच और अधिक बोने की दिशा पकड़ ली थी, लेकिन वंदे मातरम एक स्वर एक सूत्र के रूप में अंग्रेजों के लिए चुनौती बनता गया और देश के लिए चट्टान बनता गया। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, बंगाल का विभाजन तो हुआ, लेकिन एक बहुत बड़ा स्वदेशी आंदोलन खड़ा हुआ और तब वंदे मातरम हर तरफ गूंज रहा था। अंग्रेज समझ गए थे कि बंगाल की धरती से निकला बंकिम दा का ये भाव सूत्र, बंकिम बाबू बोले। अच्छा, थैंक यू थैंक यू थैंक यू थैंक यू थैंक यू, आपकी भावनाओं के लिए मैं आदर करता हूं। बंकिम बाबू ने
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of the Right Stand. We will dive into the Vande Mataram debate, viewers. But first up, big news coming in from Tamil Nadu, where we are given to understand that the DMK currently, the ruling government of Tamil Nadu, the ruling party, is busy collecting signatures to propose an impeachment motion against the Madras High Court judge, Justice G.R. Swaminathan, who passed an adverse stricture against the HRNC department while he allowed the devotees and the petitioners to go ahead and light the Deepam, Kartikai Deepam, at the Deepathoon atop the Thirupurankunram temple in Madurai. Now, we are given to understand that the Tamil Nadu MPs from the Congress party and other India bloc MPs are also being approached to try and get enough signatures to move an impeachment motion. This judge had earlier directed the Subramania Swamy temple authorities to ensure that the lamp is lit at the Deepathoon. First, he said the HRNC officials can do that. When that didn't happen, he allowed 10 of the devotees led by the petitioner, to go ahead and do the needful to fulfill the ritual that is the right of the Hindus atop this temple. But now the DMK clearly, after calling him an RSS judge and calling him other names, and also in brazen contempt of court because they didn't implement the court orders, they've been showcased for that too. They are now planning to impeach this very judge. That's what we're given to understand. Arunima joining us with more details. Yes, Arunima.
So under the Judges Inquiry Act, the